Hey, what's up? Good afternoon for me, and morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're watching this. Let's see. As always, thanks to Trucking with T-Bone for allowing the use of the patented window bar. Got the bar in the middle of the windshield, licensed to us from the patent copyright holder, Trucking with T-Bone. Always appreciated. Main focus of the channel. I'm just kind of here to kill time while you guys get to bask in its glory. Got a new phone mount going on because the last one failed. Failed probably due to excessive awesomeness, the content being created on it. Awesome is stark juxtaposition to the quality of these California highways. We're rolling down 580 right now. We are on our way to the Richmond Santa Fe Bridge, so you know what that means. Bridge thoughts. Today I want to discuss something, and it's a topic kind of in our trucking news a lot lately, and that's LTL. So if anyone's been paying any attention at all, there's some LTL companies going through some issues at the moment. YRC, Yellow, Roadway, whatever they have, Holland. Some deep trouble, some mismanagement of funds going on. There's a lot of drivers possibly going to take a big loss on that, and that's too bad. And then UPS, I actually just heard another also doing freight LTL. I guess they signed a tentative contract. They haven't ratified yet, but it looks like no strike there. So I don't know whether that's good or bad. I think it's good overall. Maybe it could have got some possible rises in freight temporarily if they had been on strike, but overall, not great for our industry, in my personal opinion. Anyway, the topic of the LTL is, so I've been using the term LTL, less than truckload, synonymously, and I didn't even catch myself doing it till recently with multi-stop, and it's not. It's not. So keep in mind, this is all just terminology we use amongst ourselves, right? It's on load boards. You say it to brokers. Companies hire you to pull an LTL or a multi-stop or whatever. So it's not really that important, but that's what we do out here. Sit in the truck all day, we overanalyze things, right? So I think I'm in error because true LTL would be you start empty, obviously, like we all do. You'd pick up a partial. Let's use cars. Cars. Someone was telling me cars was a good example the other day. Great example. So you got room for 6 cars. You pick up 3. Let's say you pick up 3. They have to go 1,000 miles. So you go 200 miles, then you pick up 1 more car. So now you got 4. But that car you just picked up at your second pickup only has to go 300 miles out of the 1,000. So you go an additional 3, drop it. And while you're there at that dealership or brokerage or auction house, you pick up another one that's going to the same place as the original 3. So see what I'm saying here? You're picking up and delivering all in the same run, and you might not even end up with what you started with at your last stop. So you're kind of piecing it together, the less than truckload part. Whereas multi-stop is kind of what I did today. I had 20 pallets on the trailer, and I did 9 different drops, but they all came from the same origin. And I have backhaul, but that was after I got emptied out, and I went and got my backhaul, right? Now I'm almost done for the day. I'm headed back to the yard. So that would be more of a multi-stop situation. I guess in a true LTL, I would have made a bunch of drops and picks, not simultaneously, but amongst each other, which requires a lot more shuffling around of freight in the trailer or on the trailer, depending. So I think you could do that with flatbed, van, reefer, pretty much everything except tanker. I don't think you can truly LTL tanker unless you're just mixing stuff together in the tank. I don't know much about tankers, so I think that's a no-no. I've done multiple pickup with a tanker before, but I've definitely never. It all went to the same place. I didn't stop and dose out a few hundred gallons here, a few hundred. Maybe someone that does more tank work can enlighten me. Once again, it doesn't really matter, but it's just an interesting terminology. And like I said, I caught myself doing it, using them using them like that interchangeably, like, oh yeah, it's LTL, it's multi-stop, but it's really not. So I'm just curious. Oh, we're on the bridge, by the way. That's right. Enjoy that beautiful bridge view, semi-obstructed by T-Bone's Bar. Um, so I guess the real thing that this would come into play is if you're trying to book a load, has anyone ran into it being advertised as multi-stop or multi-drop, and then it's really LTL where you get a bunch, oh, and then just stop here and pick this up? And did the pay on the load reflect that? Or for company people like myself, did you is that something, do you do it halfway one way, halfway the other, or can you just pretty much do it exclusively? I know several companies call themselves LTL, like the ones we just talked about, or I don't know, Old Dominion's a great example, or Estes, or who else? Saya. You know, they're LTL companies that do their P&D, and then it goes to a dock and it gets consolidated and put on a line haul and taken to another dock and then split up, and then the D portion, the delivery portion of the P&D starts. So I just thought it was kind of an interesting how the terminology in our industry works and how many different ways there is to do it all. To me, at least, multi-stop seems a lot more straightforward. I mean, you still have multiple drops, multiple appointment times, multiple docks you got to get into, multiple customers you got to deal with. So it's probably a little more straightforward than full truckload, which is where you'd pick up an entire trailer full of whatever commodity it is you're hauling and then take it to one drop, one delivery, and get unloaded, and then you start over because now you're empty. So you go pick up and rinse and repeat that process. Seems simpler than trying to route yourself around to make room and keep weight available for multiple pickups and drop-offs all in a row. And I don't know whether you route yourself like that because of mileage. Well, obviously you do it for mileage. You try to do one after the other as close as they are. But then you also got your times, your volume, your cubes, whatever you want to call it, how much space it takes up. To me, that just seems like a lot more complicated and difficult. And I don't know if anyone's out there doing that by themselves, any kind of single owner op or single truck carrier or whatever. It seems to me like you'd have to have a good dispatch, or maybe the broker builds those loads and then you just run them according to how they lay it out for you. Salute to you if you're doing that on the fly. I guess car guys probably do, right? I guess if you're out there running cars, you kind of do have to do that. You make contacts with brokers and they say, hey, you got room for one more, and where are you? And you just deal with it. That just seems like a tremendous headache to me, and I hope you're making a ton of money doing it if that's what you're doing. Because you talk about specialized, that take a lot of concentration and problem solving, critical thinking that I just don't know if I possess all that. For me, I mean, I do a little routing of myself because I need to be certain places at a certain time, obviously, and the trailers generally, I try to get it loaded in a certain way, and things change on the fly, right? Sometimes you go someplace and like for instance, the other day I went to a place, their computer was down. And, oh, it's going to be at least 3 hours. I'm not sitting there 3 hours. I got 3 more stops. So, and locally, I mean, nothing's that far away. So I'm like, okay, I could probably get in this place. I went and did that. Had to shuffle pallets around and everything and move it around, but it was still a lot faster and more efficient than just sitting there doing nothing for 3 hours and burning up the clock or whatever. Anyway, if anyone does that, is more involved in that, please let me know. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I completely way off base? I'm just trying to learn a little more out here and kind of spark up some conversations about different possibilities, because as we know, the industry is not in the greatest place and people are looking to diversify and specialize and whatever other fancy words you want to use to describe trying to find a way to make a buck, right? Okay. Anyway, let me know, as usual. Hit buttons or don't. Do what you gotta. I'll probably be back with another one later this week. I want to start talking about stuff that pertains to me as a local driver a little more and see if there's any interest in people doing that. Speaking of people looking for possibly diversifying in transportation, and share a little information in my experience with the local driving. hopefully maybe that interests somebody or not. It's just fun for me to talk. I don't like the sound of my own voice on the camera. Okay, I will catch you on the next one. Be safe out there. Later.